Good evening, everyone. Are you hearing me?
Good evening. Yes, miss.
Yes, miss. Good evening.
Great. So I am going to give the others another 10 minutes or so, just a couple minutes to get online before I begin. Are you all coming from the same class?
Yes, miss.
Okay. All right. I see from my register, I should have about 27 people joining me this evening. I have 20 online, so we're waiting for another 7 persons. All right, good evening again. Perhaps I can take it that this is everybody that will join me for this evening. Um, Maybe the other 6 people will join us in time, or they're doing something before they join the class. Welcome. Welcome to Research Methods. Show of hands, how many persons have been looking forward to this class? Don't raise your hands all at once. I don't see not even one hand raised. That's tragic. Okay, Kamar, one saving grace. Thank you. How many people have looked at the Canvas page so far? Raise your hand, please. The page for this particular course. How many people have gone on it since it's been published? Nobody?
When was it published, Miss?
This we didn't know it was published. Normally, it's not normally published this early either. First day of school. No.
Canvas? Yeah, man.
Didn't know they put it up already.
It's published. It was published, I think, on Friday. So you should have gotten a notification to your email. Usually when things happen in Canvas, you get a notification, but you all are familiar with Canvas, right? You've used it for other courses?
Yes, Miss.
Yes, Miss.
Okay, great. All right, so this course is actually in Moodle, but the Moodle page is not yet up. However, what I do for my classes is even if the class is on Moodle, the resources that I'll be using in terms of resources that I have put up for the course, they're on Canvas. So you're gonna have to go between the two platforms. The resources on Moodle are the ones that CCC have posted on the site, and the ones on Canvas are the ones that the ECC research lecturers have over time developed and used in that space, all right? However, I would like you to go on to Canvas. I'm going to show you the page in class this evening and kind of take you through some of the ins and outs in terms of things that I have put on the page and indicate what I'd like you to do and so on as we go forward. So for those who perhaps are not familiar with me, my name is Dr. Zaria Malcolm Walker. I'm not even too sure if I put the new name on the Canvas page, but I'm still getting used to it. So, and it's not changed in my Zoom either, I see, but that's the name, right? So I'm the Vice Principal of Academic Affairs at the institution, and been there for many years. And basically started right out of my undergraduate degree with the college as an assistant lecturer, and have gone through different positions and so on to the current one that I hold. Now, research methods is a course that is dear to my heart. I've taught it many times. Typically, I teach it to the tourism students because tourism was my first area of study, and I kind of have a soft place in my heart for it. But I decided this year I'm going to teach the business students. I would typically teach the business students at a course called Administrative Communication, although I've never taught the upskilling group yet, but this you're gonna be my first venture in terms of the upskilling groups, but I've heard good things and I do expect that it will be any different for this course. All right, so research methods basically is it follows the same principles. Regardless of your area of study, there are certain key components that will be the same thing, regardless of the area of study that it is being applied to. Right, so before we venture into me showing you or giving my expectations of the course and what is to come and of you, I am going to ask that you introduce yourselves to me. So if you can, if your background allows for it, I am going to ask that you, when I call your name, you just turn on your camera and tell me, for instance, what area of the ministry you currently work in, And if you have any area of interest for research this semester at all, anything that sparks your interest as far as something that you'd like to know more about. All right. Okay, I'm going to start with the names on my screen here from left to right. Curtis, you're first. Curtis, you're muted.
Yes, miss. Can you repeat? I just thought and came back.
All right, I said just introduce yourself and say what area of the ministry you work, and if there's anything about research that sparks your interest so far.
Okay, so I am Curtis Mann-Ertz, and I am currently working in the Employee Relation Unit. And as it relates to, let me see. To be honest, this course is foreign to me. It's the first I'm hearing about it, to be honest.
Okay, no problem. That will change. Romain, you're next.
Yes, miss. I'm Romain Query from the Tertiary Personnel Unit. Not quite sure of any areas yet, but I'm here to learn and find out some of them.
You're going in and out, Romain. What is that you said?
Alright, I'm not quite sure of the subject as yet, so I'm just here to learn some new things.
Okay, that's fine. Next person, Gawain.
Hello, good night.
Good evening.
My name is Gawain Morris. I currently work in schools personnel and administration services, teacher's pension.
Okay.
Well, research is the first I'm basically hearing about it. So I'm just here to see what it entails and see what I can take away from it. Thank you.
All right, Gawain, thanks. Adris, and if I mispronounce your name, just correct me. You're muted, Adris. All right, I'll get back to Adris. Sharon.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sharon Barnes. I currently work in the Student Assessment Unit at Keynote Center. I do not know what research methodology entails. However, I'm here to learn. I love to do research. However, I'm not sure how much research I'll do here, but I'm here to learn. I'm open.
All right, you'll be learning a lot, Sharon.
Okay.
Leonie.
Good evening. My name is Leonie Banks. I work in the Policy Analysis, Research and Statistics Unit. The subject is new to me, so I'm here to learn as I go along.
All right, but you work in the right unit. All right.
I know you say that.
All right, Leonie. Trudy.
Good afternoon, Miss. Afternoon, everyone. Trudy Ann Smith here. I work in the Children's Affairs Policy Division Unit of the ministry. I myself is also new to this subject, but off the top of my head, when I hear research methodology, I guess I'm thinking it teaches us about the different ways to research information or whatever. That's just me trying to think what it is because it's actually new to me as well.
All right, that's a part of it, yes. Thank you, Kimberly.
Miss, which Kimberly? We have two Kimberlys.
We have two Kimberlys. Okay, Francis.
Okay, Miss. I'm Kimberly Francis. I work in the school feeding unit, and where research is concerned, I'm not sure if it really lies on with my line of work. My line of work is more like survey, finding out if students are getting their meals and so forth in schools when we actually visit the schools and all of that. So
It's right
that's
up your
basically it.
don't worry about it. You
Oh,
don't worry about it. Yeah, it's right up your alley.
okay. All right. Well, I'm here to learn.
You'll be-
I hope you give me that much information to take back to my office.
You're going to learn a lot. All
Okay.
right, Miss Francis, don't drop asleep on me. Jody Ann. I have two Jody
Hi,
Ann.
Miss.
Okay, all right.
I currently
Jody.
work in the schools personnel unit. I
Okay.
am not sure of what to expect from this course, but I am pretty sure it involves the different techniques used to conduct a study needed to solve a problem. I am open to learning
All right,
more.
wonderful. Thank you. Jadim.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jadim Johnson. I'm with the schools personnel unit. I'm not sure what to expect from this course. My colleague did have mentioned it's really new to most of us, but I'm here to take away as much as I can.
All right, Jadim, thank you. Carlene. Carlene.
Texted in the chat, Miss.
Okay. All right, Carlene, nice to meet you. Christina.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I am Christina Johnson, and I am currently working in the facilities management unit and research. This course is fairly new to me as well, and I hope to learn a lot.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christina. Ricardo. Ricardo. You're muted. All right, not getting a response from Ricardo. Not yet, Jessica. I just haven't gotten to you yet. Melissa.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Melissa Sutherland. I work in the Human Resource Development Unit. And this course seems like an interesting one, and I wish to learn new things. So,
All right, well, you're gonna learn a lot, hopefully.
all right, thanks.
Thank you. Karen.
Good night, Miss.
Good evening.
I work in the facilities management unit at the ministry. I'm not like everyone else. I'm not sure about research methodology is new to me. I assume it's the methods of researching. I'm a student of Google University, so I hope that's a plus.
Depends on how you use it.
Okay.
Paula.
Good evening. My name is Paula Lindsay, and as everyone else has stated, I know nothing of the subject, but I'm here to learn.
What unit you said, Paula?
Oh, student assessment unit, sorry.
Okay. Shana K.
Good evening. My name is Shana K. Ilton. I'm from the finance division, and I don't know anything about this course, but I'm hoping to learn.
What unit, Shana K?
The finance division.
Finance?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Danielle?
Good night, everyone. My name is Danielle Robinson. I currently work in the school personnel unit. As most of my peers mentioned, I know nothing of this course, but I am open and willing to learn. more.
Okay, wonderful. Rashid? You're muted, Rashid. Not hearing anything from Rashid. Miss Pratt, you have to pronounce your first name for me.
Good night. It's Chanel Pratt.
Okay, Chanel.
Yes. I work with school services branch.
Okay.
And for research methodology, I've heard the term before when I was working in the schools program monitoring and evaluation unit. I've heard the term before. I didn't really go as far as to find out what the term is. However, I have heard it before, so I guess probably I have a little experience in whatever research methodology is, and I look forward to learning.
Okay, wonderful. Kimberly, the other Kimberly.
Good evening, Kimberly Samuels Rule, and research methodology is really what I read was it is just different ways of gaining information.
Mm-hmm. All right, and what unit are you from, Kimberly?
Oh, I'm sorry. Schools personnel and administration.
Okay. Jessica?
Hi, everybody. Good night. I'm Jessica Dixon. I work in the tertiary personnel unit. I'm not quite sure what research methodology is, but I hope to like it and learn from it. That's my 2 cents.
All right, wonderful. Kemar? Kemar? Oh, I think Kemar sent me a message earlier saying yes, he said he was stepping away. All right, Shanae?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shani McFarlane, and I am new to this course.
What unit you're from, Shani? Shanae?
Unit.
We didn't hear you. You are muted.
Schools personnel.
Personnel? Okay. Is Ricardo back with us? Ricardo?
Good night again, everyone. My name is Ricardo.
Evening.
I'm with the student assessment unit.
All right, Ricardo. Rashid, are you there now? Adris, are you there?
Yes, miss, it's Adris.
Oh, it's Adris. Okay, I knew I would get at least one person's name wrong. Oh, all right. Hope I remember that moving forward.
Okay.
Introduce yourself, please.
My name is Adris Street. As with everybody else, it's not the first time I'm seeing the term, but I'm interested in learning what's all about.
Okay. And what unit at the ministry are you attached to?
I work with the Performance Management and Appraisal Systems unit.
Okay. All right. Wonderful. So let me start getting into a little bit more about my expectations of you and some of the things that we'll be doing for this course. This course, before I get into the specifics of the course, is everybody seeing the image, the document on the screen?
Yes, miss.
All right, great. So I'm sharing with you what I like to start off all of my classes with are my expectations of you as students in my class. Can't tell you about anybody else's class, but I'm speaking to my class. All right, now, especially at the bachelor's level, we are a community of inquiry, particularly in the research methodology course. Some people shorten it and say research methods, right? What we are going to be doing in this class is to share information with each other. I am not here as the font of all knowledge for you, because while I can facilitate your learning in terms of the central tenets of research, you all are going to be investigating something that is of particular interest to you or your group. And it may be an area that I have no knowledge of. And so I'm going to rely upon you to basically inform me about that area, to give me a wider appreciation of that particular topic. So what does that mean? It means that you really have to take responsibility for your learning. Okay? You have to recognize that this is not about me coming into the class and pouring knowledge into you. This course requires, although many of you might hate it, it requires a lot of reading. It requires a lot of work on your own. I tell students about this particular course that you have to get your work going from the very first class, okay? You have to, there is no time for you to delay and, you know, think about and kind of waver. No, this is not that type of course. You have to have the right mindset from the very beginning. It's going to require you to think differently, to think more critically, to have meaningful discussions. And this is not an examination course. So it means that you have to do all that's necessary during the course itself to ensure that you do well. All right, now this course is a prerequisite to a second course that you'll be doing next year, if I'm not mistaken. I know that's how it is in the tourism program. I think it's the same thing for business, in that you'll have a follow-up research seminar course. It therefore means if you fail this course, you can't go on to the second half of the course next semester. All right, so it's going to set you back. So you have to have the right mindset from the very beginning. Everybody is expected to participate in class. We are online, but I will expect individuals to attend all or most of the classes. If you're unable to make a class, please let me know ahead of time, and I will do the same for you, right? But it's not a class where you'll be able to come and just sit back and not participate. It's not going to be in your best interest to do that. So all of this document is in the Canvas classroom as well, the module section. For coursework, as I said, you're going to have quite a bit of reading. There are a few individual assignments, and your major work that you'll be doing is group work. Okay. The major product of this course is a research proposal, and it's going to require some in-depth work from you, but we're going to do it in stages. I'm going to go through that a little bit more as I go along. Of course, as you know, all your written assignments, particularly a research paper, should use the APA format. Right now, formally, the 7th edition is the most recent publication. But if you have access to the 6th edition, most of the information remains the same. If you're given a page requirement, do not exceed that page requirement for the assignments that you're given, because it will be marked down, or I'll simply just stop reading. One of the things that we're preparing you to do is to follow guidelines as far as things like page requirements are concerned, because when you publish or when you submit something for publication, if they say to you 25,000 words and you give them 26,000, or if they say to you no more than 20 pages and you give them 25, they're going to reject your submission. So this course is practice for that type of, what's the word I'm looking for? For that type of submission. Because what you're essentially doing, and what I would love for you all to do at the end of the day, is to be able to present on the work that you're going to do in this class, present it at next year's research day, and also to potentially publish it in our journal that we release from the institution. So I want you to think about this course. It requires a certain caliber of work, and I want you to get that in your mind from now. All right? Only soft copies of assignments will be accepted. As you know, you're only supposed to use your ECC email address for communication purposes. If you send me anything from a personal email address, I will acknowledge the email and simply say to you, please resend the email from your ECC email address. All right. When you submit your assignments, there's a particular naming convention that I ask students to use. Depending on what it is, it might be, for instance, I say to you, name the file as coursework number 1 and put underscore your surname. So if your surname is Malcolm, it would be coursework number 1 underscore Malcolm. If it is 3 of you working in the group, then it's 3 surnames going to go. Coursework number 1 underscore Malcolm underscore Bennett underscore Marley. That's what you save the file as. If you're having difficulties with that deadline, do not wait upon the last minute to tell me that. I am very responsive to emails. You can email me, and the email I want you to use is to send all messages through Canvas inbox. Please do not send me class emails or information or emails related to this class to my professional email address. Why? In my position, I get many, let me just put it this way, many emails on a daily basis. I do not want to confuse your emails with the emails that I get about other things. So I ask my students to email me through the Canvas inbox so I can distinguish your emails and respond accordingly, right? This course is all about academic integrity. For last school semester, you all were exposed to Turnitin. Turnitin is going to be an expectation for everything you submit for this class, because you can't do research, you can't publish and be plagiarizing. All right, although you'll be using and depending on other people's work quite a bit, you have to cite your references. So your familiarization with APA is going to be tested. You're going to have to become very familiar with it. And your papers are expected to have a similarity percentage of no more than 10%. Okay, so that's just the general expectations of the course. Let me move to something else now. Now, for your, Oh Lord, yes, that's what I want. This course is guided by a course delivery plan. Okay, before maybe I should do the course outline before I go to the course delivery plan. 1 second. All right, are you seeing the course outline? Everybody, hello, are you still with me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is your course outline. It is in the module section at the top in Canvas, so you can access it there. Okay, so you see it's a 45-hour course. You're going to develop and use research skills and become familiar with things like research questions, hypothesis testing, questionnaires, observation, descriptive statistics. So we're going to start out with an introduction to research methods. And that's going to take you through things like the use of APA, what is considered ethical in research, and what is research all about. We're going to move on to research materials, where you must become familiar with things like journal articles and books that you can utilize in the library. Finding the research problem, the purpose statements, the research questions, and research objectives in journal articles. And it's very important that you're able to do that, because you are going to be depending on journal articles a lot in this course. You're going to have to read a lot of them. You're going to have to cite them in what you're writing. And so you have to be familiar with how to extract information from research and journal articles and other research publications, right? Research design is going to come next. And this is where we're going to look at the different models or designs that can be applied in a research context. So you may have heard the word quantitative and qualitative and even mixed methods. Quanti, when you hear quanti, what does it suggest to you? What are you focusing on when you hear quanti?
Miss amount.
Amount, all right, that's one word. Anybody else? What does quantitative suggest to you?
Numerical data.
Numbers, numerical.
Numbers, numerical, exactly, right? So you're going to look at research designs that utilize a lot of numbers, okay, that talk about the amount of something, the percentage of this and that. And you're going to be looking at qualitative, which looks at things more from an experiential perspective, describing what is happening, you know, giving a sense of people's experiences. That is qualitative. And you're also going to be learning about mixed methods, which combines the two research designs. All right. So in this particular unit, we're going to go through several different types of these research designs. And it's not in any depth, but it's so you get an appreciation of the different research designs that exist. Because in this course, it's really, I call it research for baby researchers, new researchers. It just scratches the surface. It ensures that you get an appreciation of what research methodology is, so you can do some basic research. So you'll leave your bachelor's degree feeling that you have some foundation knowledge in how to do research. For those of you that move to do a master's afterwards or later on, when you do your master's degree, this course is going to be good foundation for you writing a thesis in a master's program. I can tell you from personal experience, when I did my master's, I had never done a research methods course ever in my bachelor's program. And so when I got to master's level and I was expected to write papers at a particular level and to cite sources and to do research, I was not prepared, right? There were other persons in my master's group who had had that experience, and so they were better prepared. And I remember the first paper, I always tell students this, the very first paper that they asked me to write and to cite sources and all of that, I think I got like 17%, right? And I was back, I had never gotten a grade that low, except for CSEC accounts. One time I think I got, that must be my lucky number, because I think I got 17% in a CSEC accounts assignment. And I just couldn't understand how it is. But when I look back at it now, there were some key mistakes that I made in that paper. And yes, at the end of the day, I decided then and there that nobody was going to do better in that course than I did. And so I committed to putting in the work. So I would be at that library. I was working and doing my master's, and I would be at that library every Saturday for several hours, committed to doing work. I would do work when I could after going to school from 5 to 9 in the evenings. And by the end of the master's program, I was the one of 2 students from a group of about 26 of us who graduated with a distinction, which is the highest that you can get in a master's program at UA, right? So it's all about commitment. You have to commit to what you're doing. You have to recognize that it takes a lot of work, right? And a lot of reading. And if you recognize that you have a deficiency, you have to put in the work in order to achieve the results, all right? So the way I structure my course, nobody should be able to hang on the coattails of somebody else, all right? You're all expected to put in the work in order to, at the end of the day, achieve what you should achieve, which hopefully all of you will pass, right? Now, Unit 4 looks at sampling methods, right? So you're going to be looking at things like what you refer to as a population, what you refer to as a sample, what are the different methods of sampling, because these are all things that you're going to use in order to write a credible research paper. And then you go to Unit 5, where you look at the different ways of collecting research and data. And you all may look at the screen and you may be familiar with some of these: the use of questionnaires, the use of interviews, right? Doing observations or document review or analysis. The term reliability and validity, I'm sure you've heard those before. So you're going to be looking at the use of those terms and how to apply them in research context. All right, and then lastly, I think it's last. No, it's not last, it's last. No. Unit 6 is data analysis. See how long this course outline is? So it tells you there's a lot of work to be done. So in Unit 6, you're going to be looking at how do you analyze the data that you have now collected to get your findings, right? What are some of the things you're looking for? Whether you're going to look for things like mean and mode and median, or you're going to be looking for themes if it's qualitative research, right? Those are things coming out in Unit 6. And then lastly now is where you're pulling it all together to present your research report or proposal. Okay, and the research report or proposal basically says, I have identified an issue or a problem. I have looked at the literature, what has been written on this issue or problem, and this is how I would go about collecting the data to investigate this issue. Now, when you get to the second half of this course is where you go and you actually write the findings of what you have discovered. All right. So here you have an assessment rubric for things that we might look for in the stuff that you're doing. Different methods of delivery will be used. Lectures, case studies and analysis, presentations, discussions, you're going to write a proposal, all of those things will be utilized. And then you have here how you're going to be assessed. Now here it's kind of, what you call it now? It's listed very like just 3 things. All right, now if I were to just give you these 3 things, I guarantee you that most of you would not do very well in this course. All right. So what I have done and the other research lecturers have done is to break up, especially this third one and this number one. We'll break them up into components to make them more manageable for you so that you're not waiting until the very end to get a whopping 60% of your grade. All right. And this is where I'm going to go to my course delivery plan now. So your course delivery plan is also in that section in the module section with your course outline, is where I outline what you'll be doing each week. All right. So for instance, for this class, or what I plan for you to do, sometimes we may not be able to cover everything, and so things might skip into the next class. Sometimes we might go over and start to look at something from the next week, but it gives a guideline of how the class is going to function, right? So we're going to start by discussing this evening just our introduction to research methods, next class, research materials, and so on and so forth. When we get to March 24th, no, it's not March 24th. Did I miss something? Where is your draft of chapter 1 due? Okay, hold on. Yes. March 24th, your chapter 1 draft is going to be due. Is everybody still with me? Hello?
Yes, miss. Yes, miss. We're here.
Yes, miss, we're here.
Okay, so you need to listen up now. Kemar, are you with us? Put a thumbs up or something. Romain, are you there?
Yes, miss.
Okay. Pick another name. Trudy, are you with me?
Yes, miss, I'm here.
Okay. Oh, somebody new joined us. I don't know this name. Jeru, is that the correct pronunciation?
Yes, miss.
All right. Okay, great. So, chapter 1, what I do for your research proposal in order to help you to have a better chance of doing well in this course or even passing it is that we don't wait until the end for you to submit this big research proposal. You do drafts of the 3 chapters. The research proposal is made up of 3 chapters, chapter 1, 2, and 3. Okay. You'll submit chapter 1 as a draft. I'll grade it and make my comments and give it back to you. You'll submit chapter 2, same thing. Grade it, make comments, give it back to you. And you'll submit chapter 3, same thing. Now, the expectation is that having received the feedback on chapters 1, 2, and 3, you're going to make those changes that I recommend to you, incorporate them in your revision, and then submit that final proposal to me as your final deliverable. And that overall thing is going to be given a grade. So chapter 1 will be 10%, 2, 10%, 3, 10. And then when you, meaning 10% of the grade. And then when you submit the research proposal, that overall thing is going to be valued at 30%. All right. So you get opportunities to improve on the work that you have done. Now, I have had students in the past that don't take the draft chapters seriously. And so the work that they submit for the proposal is below standard and they end up failing the course. You have to give the required attention to your drafts from day 1. Because once you submit chapter 1 draft and I give you that grade, I'm not looking at chapter 1 again until you submit the overall proposal. So if you don't, we're going to have consultation times during this class. So there are going to be sessions and classes where I put you in breakout room in your groups that you'll be working in. And you're there to discuss your chapters. I come into each group and I said, tell me where you are. Describe what you're doing. All right, I ask if you have any questions. You put your thing on the screen, you show me, that sort of thing, and we work through it. Now, if we go through the process of looking at really delving into the work that you're doing, in that way, I don't expect at the end of the day that anybody should be failing this course, because you would have had multiple times where you can get assistance to consult with me in terms of the ways that you can improve your chapters. And so by the end of the day, you really should be in a good position to pass the course and to do a good job on your research proposal, right? So March 24th, chapter 1's draft is due. March 31, you're gonna have a mid-semester. If you've been looking at your research, your academic calendar, you know that you have Easter break from April 1 to 5, right? That's Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and Easter Monday. Come back to school on the Tuesday. So our class falls on the Monday. So that day we won't have class, right? You have the breakdown of what we'll be doing in the different weeks. And then April 26th, roughly a month after you've submitted chapter 1, you're gonna submit chapter 2's draft. You see how long you get to work on the different chapters, right? On May 5th, we have research day, and you will be attending virtually. It's a virtual research day, but you're going to be expected to attend research day, and there'll be an activity that you have to do associated with what you hear at research day. Your research students, it's important that you participate in research day. All right, now May 7th, you're going to have an assignment, individual article review to do. May 19th now, this is our last class for the semester. Is our last class? No, it's not. Second to last class. You're going to do presentations of the work you did on chapter 1 to 3. Okay. And then our last class, you're going to submit your draft of chapter 3. That's May 21. I'll mark it and give you back the comments on it, feedback, the sort of, and then look at what I've done. I give you an entire month. This is the last class. I give you an entire, almost an entire month to make the revisions to that paper and to submit it to me. No, this is after your exams finish. So I've taken into consideration that you would have been doing exams, and I believe it's 2 weeks after your exams would have finished, you're going to submit your final proposal. So I'm marking it as if it is your exam paper. Okay, so with that type of breakdown in terms of the expectation where your classes are concerned, if you come a little further down, you see how the assignments are weighted. Okay, so with that amount of breakdown and time in between your assignments, I expect that you're going to do well and put in the necessary work. As I said, there's no reason that anybody should fail this course. Any questions so far? No question?
Miss, how much of it would be individual, or how much of it would be group work?
You have a mid-semester, you have an individual article review, and your presentations, even though it would be a group presentation, how I do my group work is that there's a portion of your group work that you're assessed individually. So even though you're presenting as a group, there are some components that I assess you within the group, and there are other components that you will do individually. So look at it as almost half and half.
Okay.
All right. What I have on the screen now, are you seeing group contract?
Yes,
are you
miss.
seeing that document?
Yes, miss.
All right. Now, for any component of this course where you do group work, you have to submit what's called a group contract to me. Okay. And in that contract, you stipulate what the assignment is, who the group members are, and the role they played in the group. You also have to outline each person's contribution to the final result. Now, I use this document and everybody signs off on it. I use this document to hold people accountable because I realize that unfortunately, we've all been there when you're doing group work and some people pull their weight more than others. All right. So when I look at this document, if I look at the contribution that, I'm trying to get the name right. Is it ADs?
Sorry.
I got it wrong. Idris?
Idris.
Okay, Idris. If I look at the contribution that Idris made to the group project, and I feel that it was not substantial enough, Idris is not going to get the same mark as the group. Okay? If I look at the contribution that Karen is on 2 devices, if I look at the contribution that Karen made and I feel Karen carried the bulk of the weight of the assignment, Karen is given a better grade. All right? And so on and so forth. So this holds you accountable in terms of what you did for any portion. So for each of the chapters that you'll be submitting, you have to submit this document as well. And it's 1 contract per group, per assignment, per group assignment. So I've had students who literally at the end of the day, you can see they did nothing, they don't get a grade. Okay?
Miss, repeat what I said before.
I've had students who at the end of the day,
Before
when
that,
everything is submitted, I said for each assignment, group assignment that you're doing, you're expected to submit 1 group contract.
okay.
That has all the information for all the members of the group and in terms of what they contributed to the assignment. So chapter 1, when you're submitting chapter 1, you submit the group contract as well. And in my assessment, I have had students who don't take it seriously. They either didn't contribute anything, so their names are not on the contract, or they did very little and they either get a 0 or they get a very low grade. So please come into your group work knowing that you have to contribute equitably to the final product. Now I have, according to my records, I see on my register 27 of you. So if it at first I saw 28, I don't know who the 1 person is who has not selected the course yet. I'm going to confirm with Mr. Muirhead and his team to see if the person is actually doing the course, because how I set up the groups is I set it up in groups of 4, because that was when I thought I had 28 students, right? If it's 27, then it's going to be groups of 3. All right. So I will confirm with him tomorrow before next class and then let you know. All right. So this is the group contract. Any questions on the contract?
Miss, I have a question on the group.
Okay.
We are already in groups, Miss.
Huh?
We are already in groups.
What size groups?
Some persons have 4, some have 5, some have 6.
No, too big. Not for this course. The group's gonna have to be dismantled. We don't allow groups that big to work on the research.
So Miss, for the group with 4, Miss. For the group with 4, Miss, that group can stay?
It depends on if the class number. When I speak to Mr. Muirhead, if it's 28 people who are really in this class, then the group of 4 can stay. If it's 27, then all groups gonna be 3 members.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All right. So I And we don't allow large groups in this course because the larger the group is, the more the likelihood that people won't do what they're supposed to do. In fact, for some classes, we even have people working in pairs. All right, so 3 or 4 is what the number will be depending on confirmation. All right, so this is your modules page. When you look in Canvas, these are the documents I just made reference to. When you go to modules, I am assuming you all know about Netiquette, but you can review this document. Plagiarism, there's quite a bit of information on how to use APA. I'll go over that briefly in another class. And then for each of these units, you click on that and it will take you to a page where it outlines different resources available to you on the unit for that course.
Yes, are you sharing?
Oh, you're not seeing anything?
Almost.
Oh, hold a second. I thought I was. Where is it here? All right, let me go back. So I was just showing you that when you go to modules, you'll see at the top of the page the resources that I would have just gone through. And then as you go down, you're going to see information on how to cite using APA and different resources related to the APA citation method, guidance on how to do it, and then your units are outlined here. So if you click on, for instance, unit 1, you'll see the outline, you'll see some of the resources for the class here, videos that you can watch, and so on and so forth, other notes and resources, etc. Okay, if we have discussions, you go to discussion section. Let me go to student view so I see what you see. All right, so I can't put the assignments yet, but let me see. Don't recall. All right, yes, the assignments are there. I did put them. Okay, so you'll see the due dates as I showed you on the course delivery plans. The module section. And if I put a discussion, if you have to go to Moodle, you'll click here to go to Moodle. And when that page is set up, you'll be able to leave student view. Now, when I tell you the groups, you will be able to choose your groups, your group mates. I don't choose the groups for you. Okay? So don't be concerned about that.
Excuse me, Miss, you said we're going, if it's group of 3 or 4, we're gonna choose who we group with?
Yes, you choose your groups. I don't choose the groups.
Okay.
All right. All right. Any questions before I go into the meat of the matter this evening?
No, Miss.
All right, great. Okay. So what really is this thing called research? Right? Now, all it is kind of similar to how I've broken down the chapters for you, is that it is a systematic way of gathering information, and I think somebody referred to it earlier when we were doing the introductions. It's a systematic way of collecting information, gathering information surrounding a particular topic, doing some analysis of that information to help you as the person doing the research have a better understanding of a topic or issue. And if you share that research to help somebody else understand that particular topic or issue of interest to you. Okay? Now, what the course does is to break down those steps for you into different units. So first you have to have an appreciation of what research is, how you go about doing research, the different types of research that exist, and then you get an appreciation of the different steps taken in order to collect and analyze and to present this information to a body or a group. All right. So from the outset, leaving this class this evening, and I'm going to try to get the confirmation from Mr. Muirhead early tomorrow morning. I'm going to ask somebody to send me an email in Canvas, inbox me, and just remind me to find out from him if it's really 27 or 28. What I want you to start to think about, each group or individuals within a group come to your discussion as a group with a different area of interest to you. You are all in the HR area. This is the HR specialist group, correct? Correct?
Yes,
Hello?
miss. Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
All right, so you are the HR specialist. So there may be an area of research of HR. Now, I know you're just starting in terms of year 3, so you really haven't done extensively. You haven't done research or HR extensively, but you would have had some introduction to areas of HR in probably your associate degree, and maybe there's a course or an area that you've touched on already from last semester that you have some further interest in. And so think about some of the issues that exist that you may be interested in studying further, and come to your group, and you're each going to toss an idea to the group and then deliberate and say, okay, you know, I think I want to go with Jeru's idea. I think that really will give us an opportunity to delve further into this topic, right? Or maybe you want to delve further into Kemar's idea, right? Or Kimberly's idea. So think about areas of interest to the group, right? Think about problems that might exist. Now, these problems could be problems in like the wider, in terms of the idea of human resources. It could be issues. It doesn't have to be a problem that needs to be solved, but it could be issues or matters that require further investigation at the place that you work. It could be further investigation with entities that you work with, right? Those types of things. So think about all the possible areas where you may have an interest. And I'm saying, because you're HR specialist, it may be better for you to look at it from an HR angle. All right, so it might be related to employee motivation. It could be related to recruitment of employees. It could be, I'm just pulling out of my hat now some areas in HR, right, that you could look at and delve further into. It could relate to appraisals or performance appraisals. It could relate to leadership styles. It could relate to compensation, right? So many different areas. It could relate to how teams operate, right? We're now operating in an environment where we're now forced to work from home.
think about and look at and start to delve into between this class and next class, I want you to go online, right? And just do some searches on HR issues affecting companies or organizations and get some ideas on things that you could potentially explore within your local context, right? So you have to start out with an area of interest, an area that you want to delve further into to get an appreciation, so that you're then going to know, say, all right, this is this broad topic, but I'm going to pin it down and look at this little subset of that topic to get a better understanding of it. So that essentially is what research is going to expect of you, demand of you. So now there are 3 steps in research that you have to be ready to do. You have to be ready to pose a question, right? And this question is going to be that central question. We're not talking about questions that you put on a questionnaire now, but in your research, there's a central broad question that you're seeking for your research to answer, right? A central broad question that you're seeking for your research to answer. All right, so it could be, for instance, you know, I'm just tossing out a broad question here. What is the difference between men and women and their approach to leadership during the pandemic? That's a broad question. Now you're going to further delve into that question and look at it from different perspectives. So there has to be a broad issue or broad question that your research is going to seek to address. Now, having posed that question, you're then going to structure your inquiry to get the information necessary to help you to answer that question. Now, you can do this, remember, when we're looking at things like questionnaire and surveys and interviews, you can use different methods to help you to collect data, to collect the information to answer that broad question. Now, ultimately, when you write your paper at the end of the day, it is having gone through all of those steps to present the answer to that general or broad question which has been asked. Okay? If you have any questions, please raise your hand at any point. All right? Now, what is research used for? Research adds to a wider body of knowledge. When the librarian comes, I've asked her to come next class to introduce you to the different databases that we have within the institution and to show you how you can access the information on the databases. When she comes, hopefully she's able to make it. If not, then I will have to try and fudge through and give you a preliminary introduction to them. Now, there's going to be there is so much information out there. Aside from the database that you have access to through the institution online, you can get information from newspapers, newspaper articles, local and international. You can get information from websites, credible websites, okay? Avoid referencing Wikipedia. All right, no. In empirical research, Wikipedia is not a source that you are encouraged to utilize. Now, Wikipedia can be helpful in pointing you in the direction of other sources that you can utilize, right? And let me see if I can give you an example. So let me see now, let me see. Marcia Griffiths. Say you decide that Marcia Griffiths is central to the work. that you're doing. And so you want to look up further information on Marcia, and you check the library, you don't see any information on Marcia, and there are no books there. She's not referencing online databases, but you need some information that incorporates Marcia Griffiths, right? Because people come to research from all different perspectives. When I did my master's thesis, the master's thesis surrounded dancehall music, and I did a content analysis of lyrics. Now, there were very few resources that I could go to at that point to get information on dancehall music. So I had to be creative in terms of where I was able to access information, right? So depending on the topic that you're doing, you might have to really go above and beyond to try to find sources. Now, while I don't want you, and it's not recommended that you cite Wikipedia, are you seeing the Wikipedia page?
Yes, miss.
Hello? Okay.
Yes, miss.
While it's not recommended that you cite Wikipedia, at the bottom of every Wikipedia page, you have references and external links, okay? So these citations now that they have here, you can use to take you to other sources where they got the information that they put here, okay? Sometimes when you click on whatever they have here, or sorry, if you click these numbers, it takes you to it tells you about the source they got it from, and you can click on it. Let me see if this one will actually take us there. And it will take you to the original source that they used, right? So even though you're not going to source Wikipedia itself, see it open the page there. You're not going to source Wikipedia itself. Let me go back. If you go to the bottom of the Wikipedia page and look at their references, in many instances, they have the original source cited. And so you can go to these original sources and look for the relevant information that they would have cited and cite that in your paper that you're doing. So I don't want you to cite Wikipedia specifically, but use the references that they cite may be useful to you. All right, so that is one example. So there is so much information out there, and you have to recognize that everybody that has done any body of research has added to the knowledge. Now, what you want to add is you want to add credible information to the body of knowledge that exists. So you're here in Jamaica, but there may have been somebody who did a similar research topic to you that did it from the perspective of China. There may be somebody else that did a similar topic from the perspective of Guyana or the USA, right? And all of those resources are things that you should pull from to add to what you are writing. So your research hopefully will add to the larger font of knowledge on a particular topic, right? So research contributes to the information that exists on different issues, because you're all going to look at different topics from different perspectives. And even if two groups in the class decide that they're looking at the larger topic of recruitment, staff recruitment, right? You can look at staff recruitment from different perspectives, and it will all add to the information on the topic. It helps you to answer questions that you might have, and to just basically get a broader appreciation of an issue that exists. Now, in some research, particularly quantitative research, where you're stating hypotheses, it also helps you to either prove that something is so, or to disconfirm and say, no, based on the research I have done, the statistics don't suggest that, the findings don't suggest that this is so. And you can also confirm or disconfirm work that has been done by other researchers. So you might say to yourself, you know, Malcolm in her article on slavery in 1908 indicating that this is so and so, it relates to what is happening in today's society. However, my research or the research of maybe Brown and Campbell, 2012, 2010, no, I've gone too far back. We try to keep it within, 10 years or less. Try to cite your sources that are younger than 10 years, all right? So 10 years would make it 2011, right? Brown and Campbell 2011 or Brown and Campbell 2018 suggests that this is not so. So your research is going to add to that body of knowledge that people can pull on to either confirm what they have studied or what they have investigated, or to disconfirm it, disagree with it, right? And you're going to add to the literature. So one of the things I want you all to get in the habit of doing is to speak about research as if you are experienced researchers. So when you refer to what the work that others have done, you're going to say things like, the literature on recruitment suggests, and when I hear you say that, I know that you're referring to what other persons have written and researched on recruitment. So you're going to say the literature on research suggests that recruitment is important to the overall achievement of goals in institutions. And by literature, I'm referring to the article written by Campbell in 2019, in which they explored this, right? So you all have to start talking the research talk and walking the research walk. Research improves practice. Now, the idea of doing research is that you are going to make recommendations for what can be done better, right? So if you are, say, for instance, recommending you're doing some research on something related to schools, a pertinent issue in school, whether it is school assessment or recruitment of persons to work in schools or leadership within schools, when you get to a finding, the hope is that what you have put forward in your research is going to help to make the work of in your area or in education, wherever it is, the work of the wider field, it's going to help to improve it. So there's going to be a section of your proposal where you indicate how your research is going to inform the field. And you have to think outside the box and think about what your research might mean in terms of things like improvements for what is being done every day in the area that you focused on. Okay, it gives people new ideas in terms of how they can implement things, to look at things from a different perspective in their field. And it helps you to think about what others have done in the field of study that you're focusing on as well. The other thing, it helps you to also make connections, not just, I'm not talking about like network connections, but it helps you to think about things and to become familiar with people who have written on the topic that you're studying as well. So when you step into a room and it is a room of people who have come to listen to something on compensation, there are some usually foundation work that's been done on compensation and people who have written on compensation, because what researchers try to do is they try to focus on specific areas of study and they write on those areas repeatedly. So think about it now. If you were to take, for instance, just think about current affairs, right? And you're thinking about different areas of interest. Is there anybody in the Jamaican landscape that you know speaks to a particular area? You hear them talk about that area all the time, or they write about it all the time and you can mention them now? Raise your hand, please, if there's anybody that comes to mind. That you hear them talk about a particular area. Kemar? Go ahead.
I try to like the polls them are done and this and all.
Okay, so Don Anderson, yes, does a lot of polls related to politics. So people always cite his polls. Yes, that's an example. Anybody else? What about, is there anybody that you hear write a lot about what's happening in dance hall or culture? Whether you hear them on news or you see them write in the newspaper and the name comes to mind for you?
Yes, miss. I think Caroline Cooper and the other brown lady that works up.
Caroline Cooper and Donna Hope, I think her name is.
Yes.
Right. Okay, Sharon, thanks, Kemar. I see you unmuted. You were gonna say something.
I was just about to say Donna Hope when you said it.
Okay, all right. Anybody else? Anybody else come to mind that you hear them talk about the same topic or they may have written about it in the newspaper? Nobody? Or you hear them talk about it a lot on the news? All right, well, the examples that have been given is what we're talking about. You hear people often and they are right on, sometimes they have a particular area of interest and they focus on that area of interest, right? Because that may be an area that they've studied a lot or they've researched or worked a lot in that area, and so they tend to write and focus on that area. All right, Shanae says Mark Wignall, politics. All right, thank you. Exactly, Shanae. Right? So if you're doing, for instance, research in that area and you're familiar with those individuals, it will help you to gain further information on that particular topic. So you can go and you can look them up, look up to see what they have written on the topic or what they have spoken about on the topic. And the more you read on a topic, you may start to see different names pop up. The same names keep popping up over and over. So you might look for articles and you find that, you know, Mrs. Jacobs has written quite a few articles related to HR, and you see her name cited in different spaces because that has been the focus of her work, right? So it helps you as a researcher to start to make those connections in terms of what other people in your interested in your area have written on that topic. Now, research also informs policy debates, or should, because in the development of policy, the policies are supposed to be informed by research that has been done. Okay, so when, say, for instance, you see decisions being taken on, it could be, for instance, increasing classroom sizes, it could be, you know, the use of technology in schools, different areas. Before those decisions are taken at the legislative level, they should be informed by research that has been done locally and internationally to help to make the best decisions. Now, you have to be very careful when you're pulling from international bodies of knowledge and practices, because what exists and the context that might exist in one country may not be relevant or suited to another country. So whereas you can pull and say that, you know, this technique worked in this country and so we want to borrow from that and practice some of these things or take lessons from what have been learned, it doesn't mean that whatever you see happening in another jurisdiction, you're going to just follow it, because their reality or context may be different from ours. However, before we make these decisions, it's very important that we research, that research and inquiry forms the basis of policy development and debates. And so it helps to create that dialogue with people who are making policy. So what should your focus be as a researcher? First of all, as I said, you're going to identify a problem or an issue. that is going to be central to your research. Now you can do this. What I want you to do before next class, I want you to think about different areas of interest that you may have. I want you to start to talk about it in your groups, right? And different issues that may exist, different areas that you might want to further investigate. Oh, sinus is starting to act up. Different areas that you may want to start to investigate, and then think about those a little bit more. Do some broad Google searches to start, right? Not just in Jamaica, but overseas on an area of interest, and try to delve into an issue that may exist. Delve into it locally, of course, delve into it regionally, because it may be a Caribbean issue and that exists, and you want to look at it from the Jamaican perspective. That is perfectly fine. Many times, especially in quantitative research, you're going to make some type of prediction. Okay, and then in your research, you're either going to seek to confirm or disconfirm that prediction. You're going to also have to gather data based on whatever it is you're asking, and you're going to have to analyze and interpret that data to come up with some findings. So what are the steps in the research process? You have to first identify a research problem. There must be an issue that requires further investigation, that requires you to do some research, some inquiry, delve further, get more information, ask some questions, right? So you're going to identify a research problem, issue, something that leaves you wondering, right? Something that you've always wondered about, something that it's good if it's pertinent to a situation. Sometimes the best research that you do is something that you feel very strongly about, or something that you've always wondered about, something that is a pressing issue. Think about all of those things, right? And the more it interests you, the more that it really piques your interest, is the easier it will be for you to write on. Don't just go out there and just search up a random topic and you're not really interested in it, but you will focus on that. It's going to be more difficult for you to write on it. The process is going to be more laborsome for you. You're going to have to review the literature, look at what has been written on the topic. You're going to have to think about what exactly you're seeking to achieve at the end of the day from your research. Collect the data, analyze and interpret it, and report on it. Now, steps 3, 4, and 5 here, the last 3, you're not going to do those steps in this course. Okay? The most you're going to do in this course is you're going to talk about how you're going to collect the data, but you're not going to actually collect the data yet. All right, so let's look at what exactly you're going to do. First of all, identify a topic that you want to study. Think about why you want to study this topic. What's your justification for studying this topic? These are the questions I'm going to ask you. So when you're thinking about your topic of interest, even for next class, I want you to start to think about it from when I come to you and we're doing consultation, I'm going to ask you things like this. Why you want to study this topic? Just preliminary. When you're going to be in your little groups and I'm going to say, all right, so why this topic? What sparks your interest here? What makes you think that this is a viable topic for you to research, right? And you're going to have to also think about the importance of your research for a particular audience. Okay, so when I said to you that this course is going to demand that you think, that's what I meant. All right, you're going to have to think critically about what you're doing, and it starts from day one. Here's an example or a scenario. Maria, hold on there. Let me move this down on my screen. Maria plans to study school violence and weapon possession in schools. She starts with a problem: escalating weapon possession among students in high schools. She needs to justify the problem by providing evidence about the importance of this problem and documenting how her study will provide new insights into the problem. Curtis, are you there? Curtis? You're muted. Jadim, are you there?
I'm here, Miss.
All right, looking at the scenario on the screen, what's the problem that they have identified there that Maria wants to, what has she identified as a problem?
She possibly could see that many students are being expelled or suspended because their involvement in violence within the school and things like that. So
all right, no, Jadim, you're gone way over what I wanted to focus on now. I just want you to look at what's the screen. Don't draw any assumptions yet. Look at the scenario on the screen. What is the problem that Maria has identified?
Okay, Miss, I thought you wanted me to,
What's the problem? I just want you to just stick to the information on the screen. What's the problem that Maria has identified? Just say it simply in your own words.
The number of violence within the schools, or the amount of violence within schools.
All right, so that is what she wants to study. But what is the problem that is leading her to want to study this? Look right below that.
The weapons possessions.
Right. So you have increased or escalating weapon possession among students in high schools. So thank you, Jadim. Let me go to somebody else. Jessica. Jessica, yes, are you there? Yes, all right. Now, Maria identifies that there's escalating weapon possession among students in high schools. Where could she potentially have gotten this idea?
Maybe she works at the school or she's a student.
Okay, so she could work at a school or she could be a student at a school and recognize that there's a problem at that particular school.
Yeah.
Thank you. Danielle?
Yes, Miss.
What's another way that Maria could have gotten an idea that there's a problem with weapon possession in school? How she's just another member of society. How could she get an idea that there's a problem with weapon possession in schools? All right, I see Carlene helping you out. Carlene says the news media, she could have, it could be that increasingly in the media, you're hearing reports about students carrying guns, knives, and so on to school. And you're having incidents of crime within schools. All right, Latoya. Latoya, are you there? Melissa, are you there?
Yes, Miss.
All right, Melissa, what's another way that Maria this could have probably sparked something could have sparked some interest?
Apart from other media such as print media, she can also work within the school system, as in the Ministry of Education, and there's a different complaints coming in, reports coming in from different schools.
Exactly. Fabulous. All right. So now Maria, all that happened, is Maria could have sometimes maybe she in a class like this and the teacher say, I want you to do a research paper. Okay. And Maria is watching the news and she realized that she's seeing more and more reports about students taking guns and knives to school and incidents of students stabbing each other or getting into fights with each other. She could also work within a school. Maybe she's just a teacher there, or she could be the dean of discipline. And she recognizes that they're getting more and more cases of students carrying weapons to school. She could be in the PTA, and so she has heard a lot of these reports about concerns from the administrators about school students carrying more weapons to school. And so there's so many sources. Or she could be reading, she could read widely, and she could recognize that when she reads about Singapore, she don't hear about weapon possessions in schools, and she recognizes that they've put programs in place to address weapon possession. But when you hear about United States, they have very different policies on weapon possession in schools, and they seem to have a problem. And so she's curious to see from a Jamaican perspective what our stance is in terms of policy and weapon possession. So Maria decides, having been exposed to all of that information, that she wants to look at the issue of increased weapon possession in high schools. And what she's going to look at now is how this weapon possession may be contributing to school violence. Okay, so you are going to do a similar thing. There may be broad areas of interest that you have, could be related to anything, but I recommend strongly that it has an HR focus, okay? But it could be an HR focus in terms of schools. It could be an HR focus in terms of agencies, over our supervisory agencies like the Ministry of Education. It could be NCEL. It could be anything at all. It could be HR in terms of the just broader organizations and how they address a particular issue within HR. Given that you're HR specialist, I want you to focus on something related to HR. Okay, so don't come to me and say you want to look at school violence and weapon possession, because I'm going to be like, okay, so from an HR perspective now, tie in school violence and weapon possession to HR for me. If you can tie that in, perfect. If in your topic, I can see where HR is connected to school violence and weapon possession, and you're looking at it from that perspective, then no problem, go ahead with it. But be ready to justify how the topic that you have chosen shows a connection to human resources. Everybody understand that, what I'm saying?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so when we come and you're in your small groups, and I go to each group and I say, what is your topic of interest? And you tell me what is the issue or problem you want to look further at, and you tell me, you should be able to justify the HR connection and how you're going to tie it to HR. Because I have to approve the topic that you're doing before you can actually go any further with it. All right, so each member of the group come with something to the wider group, to your little group of either 3 or 4 people. Everybody must come with an idea of something that the group can explore. And then you're going to choose one thing to focus, one of the topics to focus on. All right, so it all starts with an issue or a problem. And then from that wider issue or problem, you're going to focus it and say, all right, we're going to look at it from this perspective. It could be that you're going to look at it from a gender perspective, male, female perspective. It could be that you're going to look at it from different levels. So for instance, you could choose to focus at the secondary level. You can choose to focus on an issue within tertiary. You could choose to focus on it from, for instance, if you choose to look at something within a rural area or a particular parish, you can choose to look at it in terms of a private company versus a public entity, right? You distinguish what exactly you're going to look at. And then you're going to come and explain that to me. Now, you're also going to be expected to review the literature. Now, this is the chapter that is really going to demand the most of you in terms of your reading and getting information broadly. All right, because in reviewing information, you're basically going to look on what has been written on your topic by other persons. So it means you're going to have to pull on different sources that have written on the topic, the approved topic that you're going to focus on. So you're going to now say, okay, these people have written, this is what exists on the topic that I've chosen. You're going to look for different sources, whether it be books, journal articles, information from websites. Now, let me look at and tell you from now, if you're looking at information from websites, you're either going to do EDU websites. Let me see. One second. So for instance, you can, if you're searching for website resources, you're going to focus on either websites that have GOV, government websites, and their information sources. So I'm sure you're all familiar with this web page and website, correct?
Yes, miss.
All right, so when you go to GOV websites, usually they have resources that you can pull on from these websites. So for instance, they might have reports that have data available, right? And you can look at those reports and get information relevant to your topic. Has to be relevant to your topic, okay? You can also, where was the other website I had opened? Okay, yes. If you go to institutional websites, what are you seeing now on the screen?
Excelsior Community College.
Okay, so if you go to EDU websites, they also tend to be credible sources of information. So the EDU websites, a lot of EDU websites have sources of information there that you can pull from. Sometimes they have reports that are available to you on those websites, and you can pull from those reports. So GOV, EDU websites as well, government websites, institutional websites have information that you can pull from. All right, now if you go to just a regular .com website, newspaper websites as well can be helpful to you. If you go to just a regular website, you have to be very careful about where the source of the information is coming from. All right, but when you are citing the literature, you're going to have to pull from different resources, and you're going to have to then select information that's relevant to your topic. Question?
Miss, what happened to ORG?
Yes, ORG is also useful. Okay, because for instance, it could be you're going to a bank page, or it could be to an agency's page or an organizational website that could be helpful to you. Like Statin, or, you know, different sources of data that you might be able to encounter. So those are also helpful. So you're going to have to get into the habit now of summarizing and evaluating information in your own words. Okay, now as you use Turnitin, Remember that you have to keep your similarity percentage to less than 10%, right? So what that means is that you have to get used to summarizing what others have said in your own words and pulling the meaning from it and citing them. You can't have too many direct quotes, even if you're citing people, meaning making referencing them, their names and publication dates and sources. You can't have too many direct verbatim quotes from other sources. It's going to increase your similarity percentage. So you have to read, you have to summarize, and you have to pull from understand other people's information and incorporate it into your work and cite them as well, right? So just to wrap up this evening in terms of your lit review, when you get to that stage, we're still dealing with Maria's scenario, right? To inform her committee about the latest literature on school violence and to plan her own research, Maria needs to conduct a literature review, right? This process will involve becoming familiar with the university library holdings, spending time reviewing resources and making decisions about what literature to use, and writing a formal summary of the literature on school violence. So she has to look at things like her library catalog and the computerized databases. And this is why I have asked Miss Morrison, who I need to follow up with because I don't hear back from her yet, to come and to show you all how to navigate the databases on the ECC's website, because you're going to have to get into those databases and get information. You're going to have to look on these ORG and EDU and GOV web pages and get information related to your topics. Okay, so you have to be prepared to do that. Not for your lit review right now, because you're not writing a lit review, but you have to do literature reviews even to write chapter 1. Even to get information on your topic to start to write on it, you have to review the literature. So because it's a literature review, don't think it's wait until you get to chapter 2 that you're going to have to review the literature. You actually have to start to review the literature from now. So when you leave here tonight in determining what your areas of interest may be, you have to start to review the literature. Look at what has been written in different areas on a topic that you might have that sparked an interest in your head. Look at newspaper articles, just do a random Google search and see what comes up on something that may have popped in your head this evening about something that you could potentially read more and want to learn more about. Okay, any questions? How are we feeling at the end of the first research class?
Feeling good, Miss, but I found us hoping that we wouldn't necessarily have to focus on HR related matters, but nonetheless, we will do what we have to do.
Why? What is your, remember you can do HR, but it don't have to be like, it can be something that touches on HR, but it doesn't have to be like something you do in class, you know. So there's so many different ways. Maybe what we should start out with doing is for next class, just go and do a search on topics related to HR and see if anything pops up for you.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
But you're HR specialist, so you're supposed to be excited about HR.
To be honest with you, Miss, if I'm being completely honest, if I could have
a first choice.
No.
Okay.
The choices are very limited. I hated accounts, so therefore I would not have gone there. So the next best option is HR, because given the initiative, I could not have majored in marketing because
too few people.
Yeah, it not gonna carry away within the ministry, so we had to fall like HR.
I got you.
So yes, naturally, when you said choose a topic, I was thinking outside of the box, not even thinking in HR, just like things that are in society.
You can
you can incorporate the two, you know, because you have ways to look at, for instance, marketing and HR. Okay, so for instance, recruitment. Recruitment involves an amount of marketing and advertising, and you, in order to get the right person, there has to be appropriate use of the marketing tools. Look at things like social media, LinkedIn pages, right? Different social media pages. LinkedIn has become very popular now in terms of networking, and it is a marketing tool in terms of the brand for professionals.
Yeah.
So when I say look at your topic, right, and it might have, you're going to try to incorporate HR in it. Don't be thinking too narrowly, because you can look at HR, but think about different aspects of it. Like the use of social media and doing different things.
Or like an issue such as nepotism within HR, like tie that in.
Of course, that is an area, but that's broad. So you're gonna have to look at exactly what about nepotism and HR.
Okay.
All right. So don't just be thinking, okay, the broad topics of recruitment, compensation, appraisal, those things. No, there may be things related to social media and human resources. There may be things related to family life balance, and things to do with employees and employee management, right? There may be things related to, you know, relationships within the workplace and HR policies. So there are so many different areas that you could focus on that has to do with how people operate from a human resource perspective.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes, miss.
All right. Anybody else? In terms of what we've covered this evening, before you to come back next class and tell me your ideas. Is everybody awake? Okay, all right. Anybody's feeling scared? Raise your hand.
Yes, miss.
Oh Lord.
Yes, miss. Feeling a bit
overwhelmed.
Anxious. Anxious.
Right word, miss.
Yeah, because it's a steep hill ahead, it seems.
But guess what? We're taking it step by step. Okay, and that's why you do it. That's why you do the chapters in drafts. We're going to take it step by step. All right, so, and I am with you every step of the way. If you need to consult me on anything, just send me a message and we will set up a consultation time. Okay.
So Missy, we're gonna find an email on Canvas, or you can write
just
it
go to inbox.
Okay.
In Canvas, once you go to the inbox feature in Canvas,
under your coursework, under your course.
Under my course, where am I?
Are you screen sharing, miss?
Yeah, I'm trying to. All right, came up.
Yes, I'm seeing it.
Yes, so once you go to inbox, which is usually if I go to student view, and you go to inbox here. Well, I'm not a student, so it's not bringing it up. But once you click on inbox, you'll be able to send me a message.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right, so I saw the hands about intimidated. Anybody excited?
Miss.
Yes.
Yes, miss, very excited for my 3 group members and I to do the research.
Okay, it might be too. It might be too new, so don't try to be sly. All right. All right, guys.
No, that's what she mean, miss, including herself.
Oh, 3 includes her. All right. Yes. Okay. All right, wonderful, guys. So then I will see you on Wednesday. And remember, Wednesday is 5 to 7. So I know sometimes when it's a 5 o'clock class, I have to give you some time to get situated. Yeah. Right. So I don't start exactly on the dot of 5. All right. I usually give you a little time to get situated and be able to sign on.
So come next week, we're shooting some of our ideas to you, like what we're thinking.
Class,
Come next class, sorry.
ideas.
It's Wednesday.
That's why I'm going to confirm with Mr. Muirhead the exact whether it's 27 or 28 of you.
Okay.
And then by tomorrow I'll send you a message in terms of the size of the groups.
All right, Miss.
And though we're doing HR, the topics does not have to be centered around HR.
Yes, she said that.
Yes, there has to be an HR connection.
Womp,
It
womp,
has
womp.
to be centered around it, but it has, I must see the connection. There must be something that connects.
People in general, so as long as we're talking about people, we're okay.
Well, let's see. Let me
Just
hear
if
the
you can
idea.
type back to HR.
Okay.
Justify it when you come and we'll see. All right. All right, everybody, have a good evening. Be safe.
Bye, Miss.
I'll see you on Wednesday.
Bye.
Same to you, Miss.
Bye.